The anime begins with a man named Zack and a teenage girl named Rachel Gardner trapped in a strange building full of traps, forcing them to work together to escape. Earlier, Rachel was in a hospital for counseling when she suddenly woke up in an unfamiliar room. As she explored and went downstairs, she encountered Zack holding a scythe, ready to attack. At that moment, Zack allowed Rachel to flee before pursuing her. Luckily, Rachel managed to escape to an upper floor using an elevator, avoiding Zack's attack. On that floor, she met a doctor named Daniel Dickens, who claimed to be her counselor. Confused, Rachel followed him in hopes of finding a way out. However, she was led to an operating room where Daniel's behavior became sinister, indicating he wanted Rachel's eyes. Realizing Daniel was not the doctor she knew, Rachel attempted to escape, but he caught her easily. Rachel pleaded to go home to her parents, but Daniel revealed they had passed away, causing her expression to suddenly turn cold as if she had no purpose in life. On the second floor, Zack reached the operating room and attacked Daniel before he could harm Rachel. Though Zack intended to attack Rachel next, he noticed she had lost her will to live. Since Zack only targeted those who wanted to live, he refrained from harming her. After feeling hopeless, Rachel pleaded for Zack to end her life, but he was reluctant. Instead, Zack focused on finding a way out of the building. Hearing this, Rachel decided to help Zack on the condition that he promised to kill her once they had escaped from the place. Zack then agreed, and they both began to explore the building. Upon reaching the third floor, they discovered many graves with cryptic riddles on tombstones. While Rachel worked on solving the riddles, Zack destroyed one of them, accidentally revealing a connecting door to a room containing notes from previous visitors. At that moment, Rachel found profiles revealing their true identities as Isaac Foster and Rachel Gardner, originating from an illegal orphanage. When Zack asked if she was afraid of him, Rachel calmly replied that she didn't feel afraid at all. This response reminded Zack of a woman who lied to him before attempting to escape, which angered him. Zack admitted he had no tolerance for dishonesty and would not hesitate to act against those who deceived him. Shortly after, they decided to search for an exit separately. Suddenly, they encountered Edward Mason, the guardian of the third floor. Edward greeted Zack and expressed disappointment that the graves he had meticulously prepared had been destroyed. He then offered to create new graves for both Zack and Rachel. Meanwhile, Rachel stumbled upon a letter while exploring. Edward approached her and sympathized with her loss, offering her a painless death and a peaceful resting place with her parents. Despite his offer, Rachel remained steadfast in her refusal, because she had promised Zack to kill her. Zack, aware of Edward's intentions, hurried to find Rachel. Upon locating her, Edward insisted on fulfilling his promise to kill her, boasting about his superior abilities compared to Zack. At the same time, Zack intervened to protect Rachel, engaging in a fight with Edward. In the darkness of the room, Zack struggled to locate Edward, who had found Rachel. However, Rachel cleverly pretended to surrender, allowing her to switch on the lights. With visibility restored, Zack managed to defeat Edward, who ended up in the graves he had prepared earlier. Shortly after, Zack and Rachel continued to the fourth floor but encountered a room blocked by iron bars. As Zack attempted to break through, they were met with gunfire from machine guns in the room. Shortly after, Catherine Ward, who claimed to be a judge and controlled the room, declared her intention to punish sinners like Zack and Rachel. To avoid punishment, Catherine demanded they follow her orders. With no other choice, Zack and Rachel complied, which turned out to be a trap to get Zack to sit in the electric shock chair. To free Zack, Rachel had to solve the puzzles prepared by Catherine. At the same time, Zack endured excruciating pain and vowed revenge, promising to kill Catherine. Meanwhile, Rachel realized that the dolls around her triggered the electric shock chair, prompting her to swiftly destroy them. Shortly after Zack escaped punishment, he and Rachel still had to solve another puzzle. Catherine then directed them to a room, where she warned them to be more careful. But Zack ignored it, leading him and Rachel into a room filled with poisonous gas traps. With only one protective mask available, Rachel and Zack had to take turns using it, while continuing to find a way out. Although Rachel had solved the puzzle as instructed, strangely, it only caused more poisonous gas to enter the room. Catherine then said they could stop the poisonous gas by finding the key to exit the room. Unfortunately, Zack had already damaged the key before it could be used, and because the time given had run out, Catherine finally imposed punishment by releasing more dangerous gas to kill Zack and Rachel immediately. In a desperate situation, Rachel, remembering that the poisonous gas was highly flammable, intentionally used a battery to create an explosion. Although the risk of the explosion could endanger her and Zach, fortunately, they both survived and managed to escape from the toxic room. After leaving the place, they both decided to take a break until they felt better from breathing in the dangerous gas. While Zach slept, he had a dream about his tough times in the orphanage. There, he and other kids were ignored until they passed away. Zach was even told by the owner to bury all the children who died. On the other time, Zach was soaking wet from the rain, but his foster parents were cozy inside, not bothered by his condition. This made Zach understand that his foster parents didn't see him as a person, but more like a tool they could use however they wanted. Shortly after, Zach woke up and continued the journey with Rachel, still facing challenges from Catherine, who wanted them to inject 2 different liquids into their bodies. They had to be careful because one of the liquids was poisonous. At that moment, Zach, eager to overcome the obstacles quickly, decided to inject both fluids, which made the room door open. Unfortunately, the poison made Zach lose control, especially when he remembered his painful past of mistreatment by his adoptive parents, which led him to kill them. Just before he completely lost control, he asked Rachel not to let him harm her, because he had promised to kill her once they left the building. Hearing this, Rachel immediately ran away from Zach, who was starting to lose control. In the next room, Rachel felt confused and resigned, unable to find a way out, allowing Zach to attack her. Just as Zach was about to strike Rachel with his scythe, Catherine intervened and gave Rachel a knife, ordering them to kill each other. Zach tried to stop Catherine's plan by attacking himself with his remaining consciousness. Out of anger, Catherine attempted to kill Zach directly, but Rachel saved him by shooting Catherine. After that, Zach and Rachel took the elevator to the next floor, but Zach's injuries were getting worse, so Rachel had to search for medicine alone. She then entered a strange room with changing shapes and writing on the walls. She even saw shadows of her parents in a painting. Rachel tried to ignore all of that and focused on finding medicine for Zach. Along the way, she met a priest named Abraham Gray, who offered to help her find medicine on the same floor as Daniel, but she had to pass a test first. Rachel then checked on Zach before accepting Abraham's offer. When she returned to Abraham, she agreed to take the test to get medicine for Zach. They both went down to Catherine's floor, where Rachel faced many undead bodies chasing her. She quickly went to the control room and used traps to get rid of them. After clearing Catherine's floor, Abraham and Rachel headed to where Edward had been. On that floor, Rachel encountered Edward's spirit, which made her angry because she had to deal with dead people blocking her way on every floor. At that moment, Abraham mentioned that Edward was a good kid and would be upset if he knew his graves were destroyed, but the buried people were more pitiable. Shortly after, Rachel faced another test, so she tried to clear all obstacles to reach the ground floor quickly and get the medicine from where Daniel was. Abraham then told Rachel that Daniel was an organized doctor who kept all medicines properly. Before taking the medicines, Rachel asked for permission to go to the bottom floor to retrieve something, and Abraham had no objection to her request. When Rachel reached Daniel's floor, she felt something was wrong because Daniel had left and the medicines in the warehouse were gone. Unable to find anything, Rachel went to the bottom floor where Zach had been before. On the other hand, Zach once again had a dream about his past, where he lived without a home and was taken care of by an old blind man. Sadly, the old man was killed by a gang of thugs, so Zach decided to seek revenge, which led him to lose his humanity gradually. When Zach woke up from his dream, Daniel was already on the floor, offering to treat his wounds if Zach handed over Rachel to him. Zach refused and ignored everything the doctor said. As Rachel reached the bottom floor, she quickly took a knife from Zach's room and hurried back upstairs to find him. However, he had already gone, leaving Rachel confused. Meanwhile, Abraham, who had seen Rachel's selfish side, decided to pass judgment on her. Rachel was surprised by the priest's decision, especially when she suddenly encountered a giant snake about to attack her. She rushed to avoid it, and strangely, when she met Zach in the hallway, the snake vanished. At that moment, Rachel apologized to Zach for not bringing the medicine, but he didn't mind as he learned Daniel had taken it all. Zach then asked about his knife, which Rachel showed him, easing his mind. After some time, they once again encountered the giant snake attacking them. Zach had to fight despite his worsening injuries. Just before he passed out, he gave his knife to Rachel, who rushed off to find Daniel and get medicine for Zach. Unfortunately, she got trapped in illusions several times, experiencing strange events. Luckily, she had Zach's knife and used it to overcome obstacles. During her search, Rachel met Abraham again, who admitted to securing the medicine so she couldn't heal Zach, believing she had committed sins, including killing Edward. After hearing Edward's testimony, Rachel faced punishments like hanging and burning as a witch. Although Rachel tried to refute the accusations, Abraham seemed indifferent because he considered himself as God who had the right to judge others. Amidst the punishment, Rachel continued to worry about Zach's condition, and strangely, this made her break free from Abraham's influence and realize that all the oddities happening there were just illusions. Abraham could not pass judgment on Rachel and had to comply with her request to get the medicines. After gathering all the needed medicines, Rachel returned to Zach to treat his wounds and rest before they continued their journey to find a way out together. While Rachel was in the elevator, she was suddenly flooded with dark memories, so she kept them to herself, not telling Zach. Upon arriving at the next floor, Rachel was surprised to find a place resembling her home. Just before Zach entered a room, Rachel, fearing her secret would be exposed, pleaded with him to kill her immediately. Zach was confused by Rachel's behavior until she suddenly fainted. Meanwhile, Daniel sneaked into the area and locked Rachel in a room as part of his evil plan against her. Daniel was pleased as his plan was set to unfold smoothly, especially since he had control over the floor, making it easy to separate Zach and Rachel. As Zach navigated through the floor filled with traps to find Rachel, Abraham intervened just as Zach nearly fell into a trap. Abraham let Zach continue, curious about his actions to save Rachel. In a room, Zach watched a news report about the discovery of Rachel's parents' bodies, with Rachel found safe but confused about what happened. Daniel also saw the report and questioned Rachel about the events. Rachel then recounted her past, wanting to keep a dog but never being able to express her desire because her parents always argued. One day, she witnessed her parents' violent argument, leading to her father stabbing her mother. Rachel then used her mother's hidden pistol to stop her father by shooting him, resulting in her being labeled mentally unstable. With her secrets exposed, Rachel decided to kill anyone entering her room, including Zach. This made Daniel look happy because that was the situation he had always wanted. Unfortunately, Daniel couldn't read Rachel's mind, so when he pointed his gun at Zach, she shot Daniel instead before directing her pistol at Zach. Feeling Rachel had acted strangely, Zach quickly subdued her to stop her strange behavior. Rachel finally realized they hadn't achieved their goal of escaping the building. They went to a higher floor to search for an exit, but returned to Abraham's floor. There they broke a stained glass window and found a long staircase that seemed to lead to the exit door. As they climbed, an explosion caused by Abraham shook the building. He had installed iron bars to trap them inside. Unwilling to give up, Zach used his scythe to break the bars and continue their journey. Unfortunately, Daniel, who was still alive, suddenly shot Rachel from behind, and as her consciousness began to fade, she asked Zach not to blame himself if their promise couldn't be fulfilled. Not long after, Abraham came to stop Daniel and gave Zach the chance to leave the building carrying Rachel, who was now unconscious. In the end of the anime, it is shown that Zach is arrested by the police, while Rachel undergoes lengthy treatment until eventually Zach and Rachel fulfill their promise to meet again and fly together. Moral lesson from the story: if you can't figure out where you're going, just follow the person with the scythe and hope for the best. But remember, if you promise to escape together, make sure to pack extra medicine for unexpected snake attacks.